You may be able to tell by the low number of subscribers or the lack of regularly posted content that this channel is a hobby for me. Welcome to the dojo, everyone. I make my living as a meteorologist. It's not just a profession, it's a passion for me. I can step outside on any given day, be it rain, be it shine, be it storming, and be like a kid in a candy store. After years of study and practice in the field that is based more on probabilities than certainties, I can tell you one thing for certain. Mother Nature always wins. You can pray to the rain gods, you can do a snow dance, you can cry incessantly for mercy, and Mother Nature will always win. When I first started my career, I took a job in Alaska. Not the best choice for a guy who hates being cold. Or was it? One day, my boss came to me and said, "If you don't learn to do something outside during the winter in Alaska, you'll go insane." And he was right. Cabin fever is a big problem in northern latitudes. The weather gets cold and people shut themselves indoors and wait for spring. But I took his advice to heart and I began learning to cross-country ski. It was a sport that I hated as a kid, but within weeks, the hook of being outside in the cold air yet feeling perfectly warm, feeling and hearing the swoosh of my skis took over my life. To this day. It dawned on me that the only thing keeping me from enjoying several months of the year was my attitude toward that weather. Once my attitude changed, suddenly I became one of those guys who used to piss me off to no end back in the day by being happy when it was cold. By thriving when it was cold. All because I learned to let go of my preference. Preferences are the desires and expectations we hold for ourselves and the world around us. They are the things that drive us, that motivate us to achieve our goals, and that shape our interactions with others. But could it be that our preferences are also the source of our unhappiness? Studies have shown that people who have low materialistic values, i.e. those who prioritize experiences and relationships over material possessions, report higher levels of life satisfaction and happiness. In fact, one study found that people who valued experiences over material possessions were happier even if they didn't have the means to acquire those experiences. Research has also shown that people who are less concerned with status and social comparison tend to be happier. Because constantly comparing ourselves to others and striving to meet societal expectations often lead to feelings of inadequacy and anxiety. On the other hand, those who are able to let go of these comparisons and focus on their own unique path tend to have a greater self-esteem and well-being. So it seems that letting go of our preferences for material possessions and societal expectations can lead to greater happiness. But what about preferences in relationships, career goals, and personal aspirations? Is it possible that letting go of these preferences could also lead to greater fulfillment? In spirituality, the idea of detachment is often discussed as a means of achieving inner peace and contentment. Now, detachment doesn't mean that we stop caring about those things or people, but rather that we don't become attached to the outcome of those things or people. We let go of our expectations and desires and instead focus on the present moment and our own inner state. This idea is supported by research on mindfulness, which suggests that being present and non-judgmental can lead to greater emotional regulation and well-being. When we let go of our preferences and simply observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment, we can experience greater peace and contentment. Of course, letting go of our preferences is easier said than done. We're wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain, so it's natural to have desires and expectations. But perhaps we can find a balance between having preferences and not becoming attached to them. My way to do this is to practice gratitude. When we focus on what we have rather than what we lack, we can feel more content with our current situation. Now, this doesn't mean that I don't strive for more or work towards my goals, but rather that I can appreciate the journey and the present moment along the way. Another way to let go of preferences is to practice acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean that we approve of everything that happens to us or around us, but rather that we acknowledge and make peace with the things we cannot change. When we accept our circumstances and let go of resistance, we can experience greater peace and emotional well-being. So why would having fewer preferences make us happier? Well, it's not that having preferences is inherently bad, but rather that becoming attached to those preferences can lead to stress and unhappiness. When we let go of our expectations and desires, we can experience greater peace and contentment in the present moment. This doesn't mean that we can't have goals or work towards things that are important to us, but rather that we can find a sense of balance and acceptance along the way. If letting go of preferences resonates with you, check out my video on amor fati, the Stoic philosophy of loving one's fate. It's the ultimate end to anxiety and stress. That's a little easier said than done. Go ahead, click on it. Or don't. I'm not attached to what you decide. But I'd definitely prefer it if you'd click on it. Go on. You know you want to.